Jean Adamson, one of the founding members of COVID-19 Bereaved Families for Justice, whose father, Aldrich, died in a care home in April 2020. So precisely the month, Jean, that we are talking about all of this is alleged to have happened. How do you respond, having seen the leak of the messages today in the Telegraph? Morning.
I'm appalled, quite frankly, sickened, but I'm not surprised at all. This is, this just provides further evidence, confirms what we suspected and feared all along, that the then Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, lied his way through. He was more focused on meeting his targets at the time rather than the welfare of our most vulnerable members of society. And as a result of his decisions, his inaction, tens of thousands of elderly people died in care homes. I just feel absolutely sickened and disgusted by these revelations.
We were hearing a little earlier from a care home manager who said that these revelations of these WhatsApp messages they go over the trauma again and again. It feels like, and Isabel Oakeshott's justification for revealing them is that it's taking too long for the COVID inquiry to establish what actually happened. So we have Matt Hancock presenting his side of the story in his pandemic diaries, then the person with whom he wrote those diaries revealing her side of the story. He then comes back and says, well, you haven't told the whole story. But for someone like you, Jean, who actually lost their father during that time, you need the truth about how COVID got into those care homes, don't you?
We've always been seeking the truth, always, and so desperate for lessons to be learned to prevent further loss of life. And that's what we've always been focused on. However, we cannot, whilst these lies are being peddling and, untruths are being peddled, we can't even hope to learn lessons because, there has just been this lack of transparency from the very outset. My father, amongst tens of thousands of other care home residents, were lambs to the slaughter. And Matt Hancock he's really treated us with contempt. He had this, foray into the jungle, bleating on about forgiveness and wanting, to make things right. But this man has yet to actually show a heartfelt apology. It's all about him and his image that he's trying to rehabilitate. Yeah. But he's shown no compassion and, as I said, treated us really with the utmost disrespect.
Thank you.
And this, his behaviour is just unforgivable.
Jean, your pain, but also your anger are very powerful for us to see and to share. Mm-hmm. And thank you for coming on our programme.
Before we let you go, Jean, I just want to ask, if there had been testing of residents from the community before they went into care homes, because that's what's at issue here, the testing was introduced for patients from hospitals going into care homes, not from the community. What impact would that have had? In your opinion, would that have saved your father's life? Or are you more, obviously concerned about others in the care home? What impact would that policy have had in April 2020 for your father's care home?
My father's care home were very clear, all right, because I asked them, how, I asked them whether residents were being tested, admissions were being tested at the time. And they were very clear that they were following government guidelines at the time. So if residents being admitted into the care home were required to be COVID negative, then I have no doubt whatsoever that my father's life could have been saved and many other tens of thousands. This, if this is true, this evidence, these revelations that are coming out today, if this is true, they should not be ignored. Matt Hancock needs to face cross-examination at the public inquiry. There is, and I would go as far to say that there is mounting evidence here for a parallel police inquiry to a parallel police investigation to the inquiry.
All right, Jean Adamson.
He needs to be held accountable.